Joe Biden's Build Back Better Act offers 2 years of free community college to any American who can, qualify to go to college, as well as trade schools. Child care and universal pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds. Expands Medicare so that seniors can now get dental and vision and hearing aids. Extends the child tax credit that is law right now that has literally cut childhood poverty in the United States in half. Would cut prescription drug prices. Would offer paid family and medical leave like every other developed country in the world has, would address climate change substantially, and there's a few other provisions, and would be exclusively paid for by raising the taxes on people earning over $400,000 a year in giant corporations to a point where they wouldn't even be as high as they were when Donald Trump came into office. So Joe Manchin then comes out and says, I cannot accept our economy, or basically our society, moving toward an entitlement mentality. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but I do know that that's a conservative talking point, and I'm so happy to have my buddy Julio Rivera, the editorial director at Reactionary Times, contributor at Newsmax, American Thinker, and townhall.com, and on Twitter, oh yeah, it's Julio is his Twitter handle, back on the line with us. Julio, what is he talking about, entitlement mentality? What part of this program is taking us down the road to Soviet socialism?
Well, you just pointed out one of the bigger ones. You're talking about 2 years of free community college, the so-called human infrastructure. You're talking about universal daycare and a lot of these other provisional things that are inside this. Basically, what Manchin is and I agree with him 100%, is creating a dangerous precedent in America. And this is a road that we've been going down really heavily ever since the coronavirus pandemic. A lot of people lost their jobs. Then they were subsidized not only with unemployment benefits, but in a lot of instances, a lot of states were giving out an additional $600. So for a lot of people, they were making more money unemployed than they were making working. And now we have a crisis where we have a lot of businesses that want to hire people, but people have gotten so used to not working and collecting unemployment, and a lot of these additional benefits have extended in some states. I know New Jersey, where they have the off-year election, Phil Murphy has tried to extend additional benefits as long as he could in an effort to try to steal the election. But
none of that is part of the Build Back Better program, Julio. First of all, by the way, if you could put your microphone just a little closer to your mouth. It still sounds like, you're talking to us in an echo chamber. Just hold it right up to your mouth. But none of that stuff, there's no extension of $600 a month or a week or whatever, in this Build Back Better bill. It's kind of a red herring. I mean, why does 2 years of free community college, when every other developed country in the world, including Costa Rica, offers free college all the way up to a PhD to everybody in the country? Why does that? How does that cause people to not want to go to work? I think having a better educated workforce is a good thing.
Everybody has an opportunity for an education in the United States of America. You can take out student loans if you can't afford it straight up. But there's other things that are dangerous. Like Joe Biden, right? As soon as he went into office, one thing about the Build Better Back plan, filled with subsidies for so-called green energy companies. He immediately comes in, kills the Keystone Pipeline, destroys thousands of jobs. He lifts sanctions on Russia. Now they've gone ahead and they're building this Nord Stream pipeline. He's begging OPEC.
What does this have to do with 2 years of free community college?
Oil. But that's why get the community college. You can sit there and you can fight on the community college issue.
Or expanding Medicare.
The Build Back Better plan is terrible for America. Look at the inflation, the runaway spending that we've been having. One thing, listen, and the framers were very smart, incredible genius men. They created this great experiment. Benjamin Franklin himself said, once people realize that they can vote themselves money, that will herald the end of the republic. And I think that
Franklin never actually said that. That's a
he actually did, and I have the quote, and I looked it up before, so don't try to throw me off. Listen, one thing, I'm going to give you credit, Tom, for something. I agree with you on something that I used to fight you on very, very hard back when me, you, and our buddy Charlie Sauer used to have our rumbles, used to say that America was already a democratic socialist country. Mm-hmm. And I've come to the point now where I agree with you, it is. But it's an opt-in proposition. There's basically two Americas. If you want to engage in capitalism, if you want to start a business, if you want to work in the private sector and be incredibly successful, you can do that. Or if you don't want to work, there's so many subsidies right now for people that you can get your Section 8 for your housing, you can get your food stamps, you can get your welfare, and you don't have to lift a finger. And that's a dangerous precedent.
And you and I both know that that's a very grim life.
I'm talking about Manchin's quote, which you brought up initially.
Yeah,
but him and Sinema, one of the few Democrats that actually still has common sense in your party.
So I still am not hearing from you why offering 2 years of free community college or expanding Medicare so that old people can get their teeth fixed is going to ruin America.
I know, because this is a talking point that socialists like you're an American socialist. You're not even a Democrat. You've gone far beyond that. There's no
whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'm not name calling you. I'm just properly identifying you for the people who are actually listening, that this is not regular Democrat. A standard Democrat would be along the lines of what Manchin is talking about.
So they already have this in Canada, Julio. They already have this in Germany. They already have this in France. They already have this in England. Every single one of these provisions is already law in every other developed country in the world. And I don't see them going down in flames and all of their working people sitting around smoking cigarettes and drinking booze all day.
Listen, you've got people pouring into the country at an unprecedented rate. Alejandro
that has nothing to do with this.
At the beginning of the year, we were going to have more border crossers this year than at any
You're
point
changing the subject.
It's part of the subject because
why is joining the rest of
education to illegal immigrants, Tom? We can't. It's unsustainable. How are you supposed to maintain the border?
There is no immigration. I mean, I would like to see immigration reform in this bill. I think, immigration reform, as like Ronald Reagan did, would probably be a good thing. But it's not in this legislation. So let's not wander off into those territories. I still am not hearing from you why addressing climate change, why cutting prescription drug prices. We pay as much as 10 times more for prescription drugs.
Listen, in Europe, I've noticed that the prescription drugs are very cheap. I think that's one of those things out of necessity that maybe that we can look at. That's the only thing, or one of the.
But I got Democrats voting against that, saying that it's socialism. I got Kurt Schrader here in Oregon, a Democrat, saying.
Because you know why? Because those pharmaceutical companies are the ones funding their campaigns, Tom. You have to follow the paper trail.
Well, I would say that is exactly also the case with why conservatives are opposing climate change provisions, because they're being funded by the fossil fuel barons.
Well, listen, it's a lot easier right now. Listen, last year we had, during Trump's time, the price of energy was lower. We established energy independence. We were actually a net exporter. We were exporting more than we were importing.
Yeah, that didn't happen during Trump. That happened during the tail end of the Bush administration.
Listen, at the end of the day, the cost of everything is affected by the cost of energy. So America, it's imperative that we're energy independent.
I'm completely agreeing with you. So let's build solar panels. Julio, we've got a nuclear fusion reactor 93 million miles away that pours enough energy onto this country to supply 5,000 times the amount of energy that we're using right now. Or some wild
I don't have a problem with nuclear energy. I have no problem with nuclear energy.
I'm talking about the sun.
A vehicle. You're not going to power a vehicle and move commerce and move products around the country and around the world on nuclear power, unless you're talking about a nuclear boat.
No, you misunderstood. You were trying to talk over me. I said there is a nuclear reactor, a fusion reactor, 93 million miles away from us. It's called the sun, that is pouring all this energy on us. And I'm agreeing with you. Let's get energy independent. Let's put solar panels on the roof of every house in America.
Well, I don't know if right now financially that's feasible because of the cost of. And then, listen, even building solar panels creates a huge carbon footprint. So you guys fail to point that out because, again, these companies that are funding the Democrat, funding the progressive left, the far left radicals, they've created this climate change religion. They fail to acknowledge the fact that it does create a much larger carbon footprint.
You're absolutely right that right now the way the solar panels are made involves fossil fuels. You're absolutely right. But how do we get past that? How do we get past that? The way we get past that is by building an energy infrastructure that is renewable.
Oh my God.